Start again, because I didn't hear you.
Yes. I was saying that Article 248, Article 240 is Article 8, that we seem to be hiding behind in purporting to process this deployment of the police service to Haiti. Simply talks about deployment of national forces outside Kenya. Outside Kenya. National forces. Madam Speaker, if you go to Article 241, Article 241 of the Constitution, you will find that there are established the Kenya Defense Forces. Article 241 of the Constitution provides for the establishment of the Kenya Defense Forces, and it goes further to list those forces as consisting of the Kenya Army, the Kenya Air Force, the Kenya Navy, and basically those three. It simply talks of the three arms of the Kenya Defense Forces as what constitute the Defense Forces. Nothing could have been easier if the drafters of this Constitution had intended to include the National Police Service as part of the forces. To say so explicitly under Article 240 Article 8 of the Constitution. Madam Speaker, we cannot afford to do what we are trying to do currently, of circumventing the Constitution and the law. In fact, the National Police Service, as established under Article 243 and 245 of the Constitution, is under the command of the Inspector General of Police. It is not under the command of the President or any other person. The Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defense Forces is not the commander of the National Police Service. That is my submission. And you can challenge me. So it was not the intention of the makers of our Constitution. And Honorable Otinda Molo is here. He will help us, because he was a member of the committee of experts that drafted our Constitution. It was not the intention of the draft of the Constitution, nor was it the intention of Kenyans when they promulgated this Constitution.
So you seem to have a point of order?
Yes.
Okay, you'll come after leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. You know, the leader of minority has asked us to challenge him. And Honorable Speaker, is also good to state matters of fact in line with our standing orders. Honorable Speaker, the leader of minority is clearly misreading and misinterpreting the Constitution, because if you read Article 248 of the Constitution that provides that the National Security Council, with the approval of Parliament, which is the basis of this motion, Honorable Speaker, may deploy the national forces of Kenya for regional and international peace support operations or other support operations. Honorable Speaker, if you read Article 242, the Constitution of the Security Council, the Council consists of, amongst others, and I'll go straight to I, the Inspector General of the National Police Service. And therefore, you cannot argue that the National Security Council, or that is involved with the deployment of forces and request with the approval of Parliament, does not constitute the National Police Service. Because it is right there in the Constitution, Honorable Speaker, 242H, I, Honorable Speaker, including the National Intelligence Service, for that matter. So even if you are to deploy National Intelligence Service officers, that is part of the National Security Council.
How I wish my colleague did not interrupt me, because he has clearly not added any value to the debate.
He has assisted you.
Because if you look at the composition of the National Security Council, it also has civilians in it, including the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs. So are you saying foreign affairs staff are members of the defense forces? Are you saying we can deploy foreign affairs staffers, Ministry of Foreign Affairs staffers to Haiti to maintain security? It doesn't add. It doesn't follow. It doesn't matter who is a member of the National Security Council. What is important is
Hold on,
what
Minority
constitutes
Leader.
what
One
constitutes
moment, a point of order. I'll still give you time. Don't worry. You have sufficient time, and we shall add you a minute or so for the interruption. Honorable Ruto.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I stand under Standing Order number 91. I think from the floor of this House, the leader of minority should not mislead the nation and this House. For him to stand there and purport that the president is not the commander of the National Police Service, then the word commander-in-chief simply means that all those who are armed, whether the Kenya Defense Forces, the National Police Service, the Prison Service, actually come under the President of the Republic of Kenya. That is what he has been given, or she, by the Constitution. Honorable Speaker, it is okay for the leader of minority to make a statement, but let him not be allowed to mislead the House and the nation. Thank you.
Proceed. Now you have been properly guided.
Anyway, you know, in this world, wonders will never cease. You know, the Constitution is so clear. I don't want to belabor the point, really, because I think even my colleagues on the other side are clearly agreeing with me, even though they may not say so loudly. The Constitution is so clear. But that aside, having addressed myself to the unconstitutionality of this move, I want now go to the merit. Even assuming that Kenya, that this House could actually approve the National Police Service to go to Haiti. If you go to National Police Service Act, the National Police Service Act, Section 108, Section 108 of the National Police Service Act, where in certain special circumstances, let me just go to the specific section. Section 1081. Yes. 1081 of the National Police Service Act. And it provides as follows. Madam Speaker, the President may, on the application of the government of a reciprocating country, the government of a reciprocating country, okay, order such number of police officers as the President may think fit to proceed to that country for service therein for the purpose of assisting the police service of that country in a temporary emergency. Madam Speaker, what is the definition of a reciprocating country? Before we even go to the definition of a reciprocating country, the country in question must be having a functioning government. My submission is that the Republic of Haiti, as we speak currently, has got no functioning government. And therefore, the question of reciprocating or otherwise can't arise. But even more importantly, this requisition, this request for the deployment of Kenya Police Service officers to Haiti, who is the originator? Where did it come from? Did it come from Haiti? And if it came from Haiti, from who in Haiti? Which government in Haiti? Which government, as we speak, is in charge of the Republic of Haiti? Because as a country, as a parliament that represents the people of Kenya, we have to ask these questions. We have to ask these questions because the public will ask us even tougher questions if something goes wrong in Haiti. So we must ask these questions. Which government in Haiti made the requisition for Kenya police officers to go to Haiti? If it is not the government of Haiti, therefore, who then asked for our police officers to go to Haiti? Is it the UN? I'm hearing it's the UN from somebody shouting across the island.
What's your point of order, Kainan?
What's the point?
Your debate must be very exciting. You have many points of orders. You should appreciate it.
Thank you, Madam.
Proceed, Honorable Kainan.
Madam Speaker, is it in order for the Honorable Andayi to mislead Kenyans when page 10 of the report, and I read, clearly says, the Prime Minister of Haiti, with the concurrence of the Council of Ministers, addressed a letter to the UN Security Council on 9th October 2022, and on 10th October, the UN Security Council. And you just need to understand the making of the UN Security Council. Kenya is a responsible member. So the request came, and it's good he understands this. The request came from the Prime Minister of Haiti to the UN Security Council. The UN Security Council, in turn, requested the member states to contribute. So you need to understand, it's in order for the Honorable Andayi to mislead himself, to mislead members of parliament in Kenya that nobody requested for this. Yet he knows Kenya is a responsible member of the UN.
The more you listen to these colleagues of mine, the more you get actually amused. Madam Speaker, if it is the case that the request for the Kenyan government to deploy its police officers to Haiti came from the UN, can we have a look at the UN Security Council resolution that authorized this deployment? Does it make mention of Kenya, even for a moment? Does the UN Security resolution authorizing this deployment make mention of Kenya? It does not. That's my submission. And therefore, we are basically getting into some kind of misadventure for reasons which are not known to the rest of us. The reasons could be known to a few people who are in the executive. But we want to tell you that you cannot use our Kenyan.
No, please kindly give him another 5 minutes because he was interrupted severally.
You cannot use our police women and men as guinea pigs at the altar of rent seeking. Because we know for sure that the motivation for this misadventure is money. Is money. People want to use our hapless police officers as guinea pigs in their bid to get cheap money. If you are sure that our Kenyan police officers are going to be safe in Haiti, first of all, start by taking there your child or brother, or go there yourself. Go there yourself. And then they tell us, Madam Speaker, that you see, the reason why Kenyan is leading this mission is because Kenyan people have got the same skin complexion as the Haitians. Are Kenyans the only black people in this part of the world? Are we short of black people in that part of the world? If you go to the Caribbeans, the whole of South America, indeed even some parts of North America, don't we have black people? Are we the only black people in this world, us and Haitians? Yes. What kind of nonsense is this? Very parliamentary. Because you cannot lead us to indulge in an illegality at the altar of rent seeking. And therefore, with those very many remarks, and to allow my colleagues to equally contribute, I reject in toto. This ill-advised motion. This very ill-advised motion, I reject it in toto. And I want to appeal to my colleagues from both sides of the political divide to equally reject this motion, if only to save our country and the future of our children and our grandchildren